Welcome to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Owen Hayes. You're watching Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented to you by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. And by the way, we've got the owner coming in tomorrow. Anyway, we'll cover that then. Today is the 10th of February, believe it or not, Saturday, the day before what? Great opportunities for steelhead fishing when nobody else is on the river. Why? Because it's the Super Bowl. It's a great time of year. We've got sports shows all over the place, all around the country, from Puyallup now to Portland, coming up here just a week or so, next week to be exact, and some really good opportunities to target winter steelhead. Arguably the most sought after fish we have here in the Northwest, right? Now, some would throw in their springers and this and that, but if you're going to be crazy, pretty much you're going to be a winter steelhead fisherman, right? I mean, because you got to be a little nuts in order to make it happen. And right now we've got decent conditions. Things have slowed down this week. I say it that way because I had an interesting week of chasing steelhead around, but we'll talk about that later on in the show. But we're also going to talk about different things that you can utilize to be more successful. One, in a drift boat. Two, what rods you're going to be carrying. We'll get there in just a little bit, though. For all of you that have been sending photos in, here in a bit, we're going to be showing you those photos. Although I will notice, Ryan, we don't have a video in here, so I'm going to throw it out there. We'd love to see some of your videos. Don't be shy. Send those things over, and for all of you that have been sending photos in, we appreciate that. Pay attention here in a little bit. We're going to have it. I'll have my report from this week, like I've already mentioned, river levels. We'll check in with Katie and find out what we can expect this upcoming week for weather. And I mean, I don't know about you. We need rain, and we need snow in the mountains, but it ain't duck season anymore, and I want my flip-flops back. I might be a little early, but I'm going to be looking for some warm weather. We'll see how that happens, but we got to get some rain. And we got to get some snow in the mountains. We're going to have some things to be concerned with come April. And again, mentioning spring chinook fishing just a minute or two ago, if we ain't got water, things are going to be super, super tough. So let's hope the things come around when you're talking about that. Special guest in studio, and a couple of things that we're going to cover with Alex Maslov from Edge Rods. We're going to talk about, of course, my favorite two rods, which you can see that I've got here in my hand. Two very, very different rods, and this is all I've been using the last week or two. This one I've been using for the last more years than I can count. But this is the new one to the arsenal, which will never, ever, ever come out of my arsenal. There's going to be some changes. There's going to be some changes made, but at the very least, this rod, I talked about it last week, amazing. And we'll talk a little bit about that with Alex, why at least the differences that I've noticed with it, and how it seems to be one of those rods that you could just simply never take out of your lineup. It's something that you will always have with you. Drift boating, if you're hiking in like I've been doing this week, if you're in the sled, there's some advantages to a longer rod, disadvantages as well, but I think the advantages far outweigh any of the disadvantages with something at 11'4" as opposed to a 10'6". The length similarities are close enough where it's not going to make any difference. So anyway, we'll talk about that with Alex. And for all of you drift boaters out there, and there ain't no shortage of you. Y'all know it, right? If you're a drift boater, no matter where you go, you're not alone. There's a lot of them out there. And some folks might not know that Edge makes one of the, if not the best set of oars that you can get. Now, like anything else with Edge, they are custom made, they're hand done. This isn't something that just comes off the assembly line where there's 50 going to be done in a day. These are all things that take time. Maybe one of the questions we'll have for you later on. Get that a lot about rods in particular. But we're going to talk about oars, different versions, and something that when Alex brought it in today, I had no idea. How many of you have owned drift boats or rafts, whatever it is, okay? And you have a set of oars that you love. There's a lot of you out there. I was one of them when I owned my own drift boat, which I don't do anymore. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. I love you. But one of the things that I've never seen is an oar that you can adjust, right? Because there's a lot of times when you're trying to decide on what oars you're going to put into whatever boat it is, if it's brand new to you or if it's something that's been used that you just acquired. Maybe you don't like those old, heavy wood oars or old Carlisles like I used to pack around forever. Super light rods. But none of them are adjustable. It's 9 foot, 9, 6, 10 foot. That's it, right? An oar that's actually adjustable. We'll talk about it. I've never seen it. It's not that I'm like got my finger on the pulse of oars all over the world, but I've been playing with sticks for a long time. I've never seen that. So we're going to talk about that one particular thing, and of course, how those oars can be an advantage to you if you're on the sticks yourself. And there's a lot of things that are really nice about heavy, heavy oars. Well, I'll tell you what, when you've got oars in your hands that you can row with all day and your arms aren't noodles when you're done, there's an advantage to that all by itself, because you still have the power after a long day to get yourself out of trouble. And you all know what I'm talking about. We've all been there. Anyway, so we're going to have a chance to check in with Alex here in just a little bit. Also, we're going to cover our Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week with him. A couple of different questions that came in. One, how to actually decide what length of oars you would want for your particular drift boat. Is there a formula, something that you can use? Also, how to clean these high-end rods, because there's so many different types of cleaners out there with different chemicals, different things that might hurt the rod. It's a better question to ask Alex than me. Me? Just throw some sand on it and rub it off, see what happens. Probably not the right way to do it. But anyway, so we're going to have all that with Alex Maslow from Edge here in just a little bit. But can we get Dennis's call in? Let's go ahead and talk to Dennis. Dennis is from Kelso. Looks like he's got a report from the Callus. Now, I know Dennis. Dennis has called the show for many, many, many years now. And I know that he's on the Callus a lot. Dennis, you live on the Callus, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Well, number one, it's good to hear from you, sir. I hope everything is well, health is good and all that. But what's the river looking like?
It's looking kind of greenish and fishy, finally.
Really?
There's some sea lions on it. There's a handful of seagulls flying over.
That means that the smelt must be starting to poke their nose in.
Kind of thinking the pilot run, maybe?
Yeah. And now, Dennis, you've lived there a long time. I'm not going to be speaking for you personally. You've been there long enough to know kind of what the rotation is year-round. Is this kind of the normal time for them to start, that pilot run starting to show up?
It's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, I've been listening to the sea lions for 2 days. The birds were here yesterday, but they're back again this morning. So they're not, there's probably 25, 30 birds bombing the river, but,
Well, that's just the beginning. Last year was one of those epic returns that was like holy moly kind of scenario. As you all probably remember, we covered it here as much as we could. Sea lions by the thousands chasing these things up the Columbia. It's unlikely that you have that kind of a return the following year, but who knows? It all depends on how things were in the ocean, right?
I don't remember a dip last year.
Say that again?
I don't remember a dip last year.
There wasn't one, which is crazy, and there was more. There was more smelt around. We were running through rafts of sea lions trying to migrate our way up and down the Columbia because there were so many of them. There were so many smelt that were in the system. But I have to ask though, have you got any reports from the Callus when you're talking about steelhead?
I have not, but I haven't been out there. But my health is,
Well, I hope that your health is doing well enough where you can get out there. Dennis, thanks for the report and letting us know that you're seeing that maybe that early shot of smelt is starting to show up. Take care of yourself, okay, Dennis? Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Take care, sir. Dennis from Kelso. He's been calling the show for a long, long time. It's been a while since we heard from him. All right. Let's go ahead and show you some photos. And there's been a lot of them, okay? We've got 7 of them we're going to show you now. If you've been sending those photos in, just be patient. We put them up as we get them in order. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. This is from Marnie, fishing with Dad. Nice deal. I mean, that's just a dime. You need sunglasses right there. Pretty cool. I got a pretty good idea where that was, too. Here's a dandy photo. Look at that. Good day on the river. David, nice photo. And nice hatchery fish, too. That's a chunker. Cheater. That'll still work, though. That'll work. Jackson's catch from Spud. Spud, keep sending those photos in. Oh, look at that. There you go. Doe hunt. I want to make sure tell me how to say her name correctly. Carias? Forgive me. I'm terrible with names, but what a great photo. And just a management hunt right there, everyone. That's how you take care of our herds. Some would argue, kind of turn it back over to us outdoors people. Some decisions might get made there a little bit better. Here's another great photo. Pat's first duck. Wow, look at that. It's that's a pintail hen, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the bill. It's possible. That's got to be a hen. I mean, if it could, well, let's dissect this a little bit, everyone. Look at all the leaves in the background, okay? Look, judging by that, that means it's very early on in the season, if not that first week, with no brown back there. So it's possible that that could be an eclipse, but looking at the markings on the wings is probably a hen. Either way, first duck, that'll keep her going for a very long time. That was the end for me, by the way. My first duck started 30 some odd years of insanity chasing birds around. Ross Boy's first limits. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty darn cool. This is from Dennis. Great limit and deliciousness all the way around. I love that. Look how bundled up they are. That's pretty cool. Ooh, surf perch. Delicious. I like to call that 2 sandwiches right there. When we're catching surf perch, it's by the sandwich. How many sandwiches in that one? 2, maybe 3. By the way, delicious. If you haven't had surf perch from the Oregon coast, do yourself a favor. Phenomenal. Lots of ways that you can do it, but nothing's easier than the Fox 12 app. Download it on your phone, find Outdoor GPS, scroll down. It'll show you exactly how to upload your photos and videos, and we will show you off at the beginning of each one of our shows. Okay, I've rambled way too long in the first segment. Let's cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the report segment. I'll give you an idea of how things went for me this week. Heart attacks, disappointment, frustration, and many miles. And an old man's hip started to get a little sore. We'll have that in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.